Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In today's session we are going to understand what is time travel in Snowflake and how we can leverage the benefit of time travel feature by making use of keywords like statement, offset, timestamp. And also we'll understand what are the retention days available for permanent table, transient table and temporary table, and in which instance we can use either of these. And the last we will understand what is the benefit of fail-safe period that is provided by Snowflake. So with that, let's get into the session. So time travel basically gives us a possibility to go back in time to analyze our historical data. So this can be achieved by making use of keywords like statements, offset, timestamps. Okay, and in before that we will be adding a prefix, that is at or before, based on like what exactly we want to analyze. And then we have the details about the retention period about each of the tables. So you can see for the permanent table we can create a retention period of 0 days minimum and maximum 90 days, and for transient table we have retention period of 0 days and maximum 1 day, and same for temporary table. So basically if we are performing any sort of temporary work on a transient object and we just don't want to store or persist any data for a long time, we can use temporary or transient table. If you want to store a data for a long time and you want to analyze some historical data, then recommended table would be permanent table, and appropriate data retention time should be selected while creation of the table or even after creation of the table. So this is like retention period available for the tables. Then we have fail safe period. So fail safe period is a period in which our data get moves into the Snowflake custody, and that too after the retention period of a particular data. So if I take an example, this is my permanent table. It has a retention period of 90 days. So after 90 days the data will be moved out of the user scope, so we won't be able to retain or restore the data. If we want to go back in past, we won't be able to do. Then the last resort that we have is to contact the support team, the Snowflake support team, and get the data from there, and they have a fail safe period of 7 days. So basically fail safe period is not utilized in order to analyze or recover any historical data. This is just a last resort if in case there has been any sort of disaster recovery, any sort of disaster that has happened, and any calamity that has happened. Because of that, if you want to restore any specific set of data, so this feature is provided for that aspect. So guys, that's it. That's the details about some summary about time travel. Okay, let's move on to our Snow site to understand more. And there is a documentation that is available by Snowflake which you can refer, and it will have a lot of informations about all these details that we discussed, that is at before clause, and then use timestamp, offset, statements. So these will be available in this documentation. Also there is a wonderful feature of undrop which I liked the most, which I couldn't find in other databases. It's like you can simply use undrop statement in order to recover a table, schema or database that has been dropped. So with that, let's move on to our Snow site and try to run one table. Dim accounts. Okay, so let's try to run this one and see like what we have here. Okay, so we have 12 records. What I will do, I will try to create another table. Create table, this new as try to run this. So now my table is created. So now we will focus on underscore new table as our main table or our reference table. Let's copy this, paste it here. So this is my main table. Now I will try to show you the retention policy. Okay, so let's go step by step. Let's go to our PPT and see what we can do. Now you can see first we will make use of this table. We will be creating three tables, that is permanent, transient and temporary, and on that we will see the retention period. Let's begin from the second point, okay, and then we'll get back to the time travel and then the fail safe. Okay, so let's go ahead and create some tables. I will try to create a temporary table, sorry, permanent table. Create. Okay, so I'm just giving this syntax. Okay, so we don't have to mention anything specific like create permanent table or something. Okay, you can just create table and you can get your table ready. So let me just create this, run this, and my table is created. Now I will do show tables, like just copy this and paste it here, and let's see what we get. Okay, now let's scroll to the right. So by default, when we create a permanent table, we get the retention period set to 1. Now we could have created, or we could have given the parameter as retention period equals to 90, 85 during the creation of the table, but here we will try to alter it. Okay, alter table permanent set retention period. Okay, let me just verify the syntax once. Yeah, so it's going to be data retention. You can put data retention time in days equals to 90. Let me give 90. So it's done. Let me just view the property now. Scroll to the right, you will see the retention time is changed to 90. Now let me just try to make it as 91, which is not possible because the maximum limit for the retention period for the permanent table is 90. So it will throw an error. Okay, so it has thrown an error, it's not allowed. So let me just change it back to 1 day and try to run it and just verify it. Yeah, so this is 1, back to 1. Now let's go and create another table. Copy this, go here, and this was for permanent. This is for transient. Okay, so in transient, what I will do, I will just put create transient table, change this to transient. This is just like a, you can say, a postfix, just for us to understand like what is the table that we are using. And this is the keyword, create transient table, this select from the main table. Okay, so let's try to run this, copy this, put it here, and let's put it here so that we can analyze it step by step. Let's run this. So my transient table is created. Let's run that show table and see like what property we have for the transient table. You can see it's 1, so this is also 1 by default. Okay, and now let me try to change this to 2. which is not possible because the maximum limit of transient table is 1. Yeah, so here you go, it will fail. And now you can do 0 as well. You can make it as 0. See, it is done. You can run this property and just scroll to the right. You will see retention time is 0. So let me change this back to 1 and run it. So that's it. So that was for the transient table. Now let's go back. Now let's check for the temporary table that we have. Temporary, copy this, paste this keyword as temporary in order to create a temporary table. Paste this, just replace these values into temporary. Now let's create the temporary table. Let's execute it. Now let's see using show tables command. Looks to be some connection issues. Just bear with me, guys. Let me run it again and see. Yeah, so let's scroll to the right. You will see the retention period is 1. Okay, and this also, if you want to change this to 0, this will work. Okay, I think some syntax error. Let me just copy. Okay, my bad. So I have given this as T. Okay, let me remove this and run this again and run the alter statement to change the retention period. And now try to view the table property. So most likely we'll be getting two tables in the list, one that we have created by mistake and the one which is the main one. So this is the main one. Ignore the second one for now. Now go to the right. You will see the retention period got moved to 0. So if I try to change it to 2, which is not allowed ideally, go here, try to run it. You will see it will throw an error. And also, guys, let me just change the internet access. If it's a problem of an internet, let me just change it. Okay, so yeah, so this is not allowed. So that's it. So we have seen that the retention period min and max values varies based on which type of data we are using or which type of table. If it is permanent, it will vary from 0 to 90. If it is transient, it will vary from 0 to 1. If it is temporary, it will be varying from 0 to 1 again. Okay, so now so basically what I will suggest is, if you have anything to work on intermediately, you don't want to store anything, go for temporary and transient table. If you have any main table, then you can go ahead with the permanent tables. Now let's move on to see how we can travel in the time. So let me select a table, select staff from team accounts, the permanent table that we have created. Select this, run this, let it run. You will see the bank name. So we will see that the bank name is Barclays. Okay, we have Barclays as a bank name. And since I completed a query, if you scroll to the right, let me just run it again. Okay, so you'll see there is a query ID. Just copy that, grab that query ID, copy this, and paste it here. Okay, so now what I will do is I will make some updates on the table, on the permanent table. Okay, let me do some update table this, set bank name equals to new, and where bank name equals to Barclays. Okay, so I'm just trying to make one change to the table. Okay, let me run this. Sorry guys. Let me just run this. Okay, so this has been updated. Let me just do a simple query on the table. You will see that Barclays got changed to Barclays new. Okay, now I want to view, as part of my query, I want to analyze what was the data just before the previous execution or previous select that we have done, right? So I've already stored this statement ID or a query ID, which we will try to use it. Let me copy this, go here and do something like before. Let's do before bracket open statement and pass this value that we have copied and try to run this. So you will see that under bank name you will not find underscore new, it is going to be Barclays. So you are able to travel in the past to see the data, like what was changed. Okay, so you can check in that way, and then you can also make use of at, means at that point in time what was the change. So let's check, it was Barclays. So like this you can just toggle between the conditions to see what effect it has. Now let's go and check another scenario, that is offset. Let's try for offset. Offset basically gives you the chance to pass a value in seconds. So let's try this. So that means before 60 seconds, or let me put before 200 seconds, what was the value in this table. Let me run it. You will see it was Barclays. Let me put like 500, or you can say let me put 800 seconds and see like what was the condition. You can see when I gave this value, the table was not created, so that's why it ended up with error. So that's how you can go back with respect to statements, with respect to offsets, and also you can leverage the benefit of timestamp. So you can directly give the timestamp value here, simply make it as timestamp and provide the timestamp value, to which timestamp specifically you want to travel back based on your time zone. Okay, so just try this times, try yourself, try the time zone timestamp, and let me know if you get any issues. Okay, so that's it about the time travel techniques, like if you want to go back in past. And all this is happening because we have a data retention days set on these tables, right? So that's how we can go back in time and see the changes. And same thing you can do for transient table as well, as long as we have the retention period of 24 hours set on it, and if it is greater than 24 hours you won't be able to see the old data. Okay, the next one is the feature that I liked the most. As I said before, if I drop this table, it's drop and undrop. Okay, so now accidentally I dropped this table, drop table this. Okay, so this is my table, I have dropped this, and this is done. Now I'm not able to query this data for any reason. Let me try to query this. No, it is not working. So now I need to find out like what option I have. Let's make use of this undrop keyword and try to restore the table. See, it got restored, and if I try to run it again, I'm able to see the data. So yeah, so this is wonderful. So I like this one the most, and it's one of the great features I think we can leverage in our day-to-day life, like when like something gets dropped off by mistake. Okay, and I think this is suitable for your databases and schemas as well. Let's try to do on schema and see whether it works for schema. Drop schema and give some schema as a snow warehouse. Let's see. It is dropped. Let's try to undrop it. Let's put undrop, and before that let's go and check whether we really have that schema or it got deleted. Go to this, see the schema is still there. Yeah, it got deleted. Now let's try to undrop the schema and let's see. Object does not exist, unable to use schema. Okay, so let's go to the information schema and try to run, and let's see, because the schema was not present, right? So now I have changed the schema and try to run it. Let's now go back and try to refresh the objects. You can see my object has been restored along with all the objects under that schema. So that's a great feature that we have in Snowflake. So guys, that's it about drop and undrop. Okay, so we have covered time travel, we have covered the retention days, and we have covered drop undrop. And now the last thing is, which is little subjective, and it's a simple summary about this, that is fail safe period in Snowflake. So this is basically a time frame of 7 days, around 7 days. Okay, after retention period or days are over. Okay, so let's suppose your 90 days or your 2 days or your 3 days, based on what retention days you have set for your table, is over, then your data will get deleted from the Snowflake. Okay, and it is saved and restored in a fail safe area by Snowflake, and that is something that has been brought in as one of the recovery method in case of any disaster recovery or any catastrophic disasters that happens. Okay, or any human made disasters. So this fail-safe period gives us an opportunity to get our data recovered within the 7 days of time, and for this we need to raise a ticket or send an email to the support team, and they will only be the last resort in order to retrieve this data. And once the data has crossed 7 days, even the Snowflake won't be able to recover the data for us. So that's all about the fail-safe period that we have in Snowflake. And guys, this was all about time fail fail safe period, retention days, and time travel features available. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions around this, uh, around any of these topics regarding the theoretical part or even the practical part. Okay, so guys, that's it for this session, and have a great day.